Okay, so open up the Pocket FSU and it'll sit there looking for some Bluetooth devices. Liftlogs, Liftlog XLs, access packs, and even some mobile phones or other Bluetooth enabled devices around the place. Here you can see it's found a Liftlog XL, and another thing called Echo Test. We're going to connect to the Liftlog, so we're just going to tap on the line that says Liftlog unconfigured, and then we'll tap the connect button. It'll go away and it'll make a secure connection to that device. You can see it's a 6.4 logger. That's the firmware version that it's running. And we get to this screen, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on this screen. At the top you'll see the name of the lift log, you'll see the date it currently has, how many lifts. The battery voltage is important. If the clock backup battery was low, that would be red and it would be telling you to change it. The indicated load, which is meaningless. If you tap on set time, it will synchronize the time on the lift log with the time on the PDA, so make sure you get that right, the time on the PDA right before you start this process. Okay, now it's showing 135 tons, which is meaningless because we haven't done a calibration yet. But what I'd like you to look at is the little bar underneath the indicated load there. That bar represents the magnitude or the overall size of the signal that the lift log's getting in. And it's important to make sure that that bar moves up when you lift a load, and you can see here I'm lifting a load. See the bar moves to the right, and that it moves down again when you take the load off. It's also important that the bar doesn't move past or up to the very end when you lift less than a full load, because otherwise it'll cause that signal to clip later on. If it doesn't move this far, then you should check your wiring on your load cell. So to start with, we're going to do a calibration. We'll set the load down to, with no load on the hook and the hook down. We'll tap on the 0 button, which is over there on the right hand side beside the indicated load. And the lift log will go away now and grab a whole bunch of samples which it'll average to make sure it gets a good reliable value for the 0. And at this point the indicated load will read 0. It might creep up a little bit, but again, don't pay any attention to the indicated load because we haven't done a calibration yet. Okay, the next thing we do is we lift a known load. We recommend at least 50% of the rated capacity of the crane. 80% is better, and this is true of most devices that want you to do a calibration. You need to lift a substantial load. Okay, so now I've got a load on the hook. I'm going to say this is a 10-ton crane. I'll tap on the cal button, and you can see that the bar has moved across to the right. And it's asking me how much load did I lift. Now I'll pop up a keyboard, which on this PDA conveniently hides the data entry box. On yours it may not. And I'll tell it that we've just lifted 10 tons. Tap OK. And it'll go away now and grab another large sample of load readings and average them out to make sure it gets a really good calibration. And in a few seconds that load will change to indicate the load on the hook. So that's a calibration. You've done a calibration. You can see now when I wind the load down, the indicated load drops. Okay, the next thing we've got to do is give the lift log a name. So we tap on the commission button, and we see the crane ID there, and a few other checkboxes which allow us to change the behavior of the unit. I'll just change this name now from unconfigured, and it's important that you do change the name because it won't start recording lifts until you do. And I'll call this crane 24. At this point you could also set the overload if you've got the overload output enabled. If you're using this lift log to do load limiting, you key in your overload here, and for a 10-ton crane well, you'd normally set that to about 11 tons. To the right of the overload box, you'll see the option to invert the output, and that'll allow you to change the overload contacts from normally open to normally closed. By default, they're normally closed. Okay, so having done that, we can just close the keyboard and tap OK. And we're back here. And now we've set our overload, and just to test that, we'll now wind the load up. We'll lift a load, and as I get to 10 tons or 11 tons, the unit will go in overload. You'll also see the light on the front of the lift log go red at that point, and the fault contacts would open or close depending on how you got them configured. Look, and that's about it really. If you ever get yourself into trouble, you can tap on that exclamation mark, and that will tell you you're about to do something stupid. This will erase the calibration on the lift log. So if it's not doing what you want it to do, you can just tap that exclamation mark button and hit yes. If you do, make sure you have a load handy to recalibrate the lift log with. If you don't have a load to be able to recalibrate the lift log, at this point you will erase the calibration and the load display will once again become meaningless. And you can see there that I've reset it and it's gone back to the factory defaults, which is pretty much what the state it was in when we came in. So that's it. That's how you commission a lift log. It's pretty simple. You just do a calibration, give it a name, and optionally set an overload, and Bob's your mother's brother. Tap exit when you're done, and go give it a go. Good luck, guys.